Great drone shots, as there has been all day long. You can really get a perspective from high above, just the gaps. That's why I've loved it so much, but it's been, I mean, it's almost been a race camera this weekend. It's been so good to see high above the Mid-Ohio, and there's parts of Mid-Ohio I'd never we go for the start of this. Side-by-side racing already, under one. And the NASCARs will do battle. The Valvoline number 6 up against the Genuine Draft Miller car. 20-minute race, and already they're starting to pick their way through the field. It's a smaller field, but it should throw up some good racing if we're lucky. And hopefully we'll get a good race at the front as well. Just taking a look at Race Monitor to see it is Jonathan Gaynor who takes the lead early on, ahead of Casey Putsch. Debbie Cloud in third at the moment in the 99. There's Casey Putsch in second place, and it's pretty close at the moment, wheel to wheel. Looks like Wally Dullenbach not taking part, as he did yesterday. Oh, a little wiggle there from Gaynor. And it's pretty tight at the top, and as you can see from the drone, and this is what I'm talking about, you really get a chance from the drone to see the gaps properly from high above, and you can see already, just this first lap, they've gapped quite impressively to third place, and we've got a cracking battle here. Now Casey Putsch looking for a way past as they come down towards the carousel, and in and out they go. Back to Debbie Cloud in the 99. And across the line come the leaders. Cloud now in third place in that Chevrolet Camaro. Now, Putsch looking for a way past now. Best opportunity perhaps at 4. He's not close enough maybe for a run at the keyhole. In fact, definitely not close enough. So now he's got to tuck himself in down that back straight. Confirmation then. DeGaymore, Putsch in second place. And at the moment, Debbie Cloud in third. Down the back straight then, second lap. And the power of that number 4 showing well there for Jonathan DeGaymore as he pulls away at 4, and that was the next overtaking opportunity, but he just wasn't close enough in the Corvette that time. In a moment, I'll be joined by the 2-time Grammy-winning Ben Sissel.
Here I am, and there's the Kreider Racing Datsun. So we saw David Pinterick in the Trans Am race in the Kreider Racing Ford Mustang. And then here is Mr. Kreider racing that Datsun 240.
Now, I was just saying, depleted field simply because a lot of these guys either choose, if there's a mechanical problem, not to run twice, or it's Sunday night. They've got to go home and go and earn the money tomorrow. Yeah,
and I was talking to Mike Slutz, who lives here locally in Canton, and he texted me and said, hey, can you put some cameras on my car? And I'm like, sure. And then he texted me back and said, never mind, they packed up my car without even asking him. He's supposed to be in this race. But there's Debbie Cloud from Medina, Ohio. We're happy to have Mark Martin here in that beautiful Valvoline Ford Thunderbird.
Is it really Mark Martin?
It isn't.
Okay.
No. But,
just checking.
But today he is.
Okay.
That's the beauty of vintage racing.
He's channeling his inner Mark Martin.
Yeah, and I can't think of another sport where you can do this. Like I could go put on Mickey Mantle's jersey and go play at Yankee Stadium. That just doesn't exist. Or I could go have a round, play one-on-one with Michael Jordan in Bulls Arena. But here is John Cloud driving Rusty Wallace's car. And sometimes, like when we go to Charlotte or some of the other places, Indy, that car would have raced there back in the day. Yeah. And so it's really fun. It's the closest thing to like Field of Dreams that I can think of is this vintage racing, because here he is out there in the Rusty Wallace MGD number 2 out here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and that car was actually Rusty Wallace's road racing car, and back in those days it was pretty much Sonoma and the Glen.
And I bet you've had a close look at that car, but it's pretty basic. I mean, they're pretty basic in modern day terms,
it's a tube frame go-kart, basically. There's not much to them, and it's a lot of fun. It takes a lot of skill to drive those cars fast. There's the Ron Fellows championship car there, followed by Casey Puch, Genius Car Garage, that number 3. So he has a great nonprofit 501c3, I believe, that for that yellow Corvette, where he teaches college kids, like trade school. They build airplanes. They built that Tyrrell-looking 6-wheel go-kart with the 4 steering wheels up front that you see out there. It looks like it, yeah. But
I know the car you mean.
They built that car, and they just inherited a really cool, looks like a Daytona prototype car as well. But that's hands-on experience. You know, there's only so much you can learn by watching videos or reading in a book. You basically have to do it, learn from your mistakes. So they come out here, they have to set up the car. Casey goes and races it, says this is what it needs from a setup. He's a very skilled race car driver. But his teaching, his YouTube videos, everything that he's doing is exactly what I would like for my kids to get involved with.
Now those rear winglets aren't standard, are they?
I don't know. That thing is real wide. I love it.
Wider than most Porsches I've ever seen.
Yep.
But it looks good.
Oh, yeah. That's Jay Kjoller. I need to go find him, figure out how to say his name.
Yeah, I would say that Jay is silent. Kohler, yeah. It's a Dutch name.
L-L-E-R.
So, yeah, generally speaking, Kohler is how you would pronounce that. I would say.
Yeah. That's Reed Kreider there.
Can't put K and J together. 57, Reed Kreider. That is correct on the Nissan.
And I got to give it up for my friend Rick Parent, who's the head of our tech. I don't know how in the world he does this. I'd love to be able to get inside his mind. But Reed pulled up in that car, opened up the hood, and Rick, our head of tech, said 240 never came with that engine. It had this engine, this engine, this engine. Without just off the top of his head. I'm like, how do you know that? And that's the weird part about his job. He's got to know. We do over 100 years of motorsports in all classes. So he's got to know what Ron Fellows would have run in that car to be put legally into the group that he's supposed to be in.
That's a skill.
You know, oh yeah, no, that's a crazy brain. I don't know how in the world he does it.
So Group 10 is our last SVRA coverage of the day here on the live stream. But we've had some great action at Mid-Ohio, and it's great to see the fans here on the banks, isn't it?
Oh, I absolutely love it. There's the fans here. You know, it's something about these tracks that have been here for quite a while, staples like VIR, Mid-Ohio, Watkins Glen, Sebring. People grew up coming to this track, watching races. So it's not unusual for them to like, yeah, there's a great race here this weekend. Let's go to the track, you know. And so the culture here, they're very car knowledgeable. They'll come up to these drivers and say, I remember when Ron Fellows won his race here. Yeah. You know, and so it's really fun for our drivers to be able to hear from those fans. This is John DeGainer here. He's the one that had over 100 employees from Stone Ridge here celebrating with them. And they're still around here today.
Not Rock Ridge?
Not Rock Ridge, no. I was totally mistaken. I apologize to him for it at the grid. Rock Ridge is the town in Blazing Saddles. I don't know how that got in my mind.
I just love the fact that you pulled that out of your head.
Yeah, and then Debbie Cloud, like we said there. And then that's Doug Obermeyer in the Mark Martin car, Ford Thunderbird. Just as it raced, though. Like, if this wasn't high-definition TV, you might think, oh, this is some footage of Mark Martin.
Yep. I saw one of the Formula 5000s, Brian Redman's 5000 earlier today, and I was like, I've seen that race back in the 70s.
Yeah. And you're related to Brian Redman.
Well, yeah, in a vague way, yes. He's my he's my sister's godfather, so we call him Uncle Brian.
Nice.
But he's my dad's best mate. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Well, sometimes that's thicker than blood.
Well, it is actually. I was his son's best man. And I think, well, Brian was at my father's wedding. In fact, he drove, here's the worst part, he drove my parents out of the wedding in a Bentley. Almost near killed them, because they all chased him out.
Oh, that's funny.
So I might not have never got here were it not for Brian Redman. So that's not a bad story.
Good stuff. I must be hungry, because I saw the Reese's sticker on the Mark Martin car, and now I'm like, I need a Reese's.
Good luck with finding one.
Yeah. Debbie Cloud in that modern Stevens Miller TA2 car. That was a car that we saw racing just this year in TA2, but she full-on bought it.
Yeah.
And she's racing in vintage. John DeGainer there, first place. Wally Dallenbach went home. He's in that number 4 AER. that is crewed by RM. So we locked my keys in my truck this morning, and his crew was able to give us the tools to steal my own car.
Nice.
Yeah, and we broke into my car in just a couple minutes. So thank you to RM for helping us out with that.
Well, in the laps that we've had, just 6, he's managed to build up a 4.5 second lead.
Yeah.
Has Degana over Casey Pooch, so that's pretty impressive.
Both very good drivers.
The man we're watching right now, Overmeyer, currently in 4th position. Sound so good, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've set up in those grandstands before. It's a great spot to be.
It is, and I was telling my son that right where we were, that camera position, when they would pan out back in the Trans Am days of that Ron Fellows car, that hill would have been full of people.
Yeah, yeah.
And I honestly believe with this Trans Am series presented by Pirelli, Speed Tour, SVRA, FR, F4, IGT, with the show that we're putting on, we're just a few years away from seeing that again.
Yeah, and I do love what you know, when you put it all together like that, you realize you've got 15-year-olds all the way to 70-year-olds racing.
How I describe
and
it
100
to
years of cars
is Speed Tour. You know, I come from the music industry, so Speed Tour to me is like Bonnaroo or Lollapalooza or Woodstock, where it's like it's this one big festival event, and these are the acts.
Yeah.
So FR, F4, IGT, SVRA, V-Rock, Trans Am series.
Yeah, it's ACL at speed.
Yeah, and you know, if you don't find something that you like, then you just have to admit that you just don't like cars.
Yeah, and stay home. Because there's quite a few around. Well, the era of the electric is coming, and it's come already, but we're going to keep combustion racing going for as long as they dare. I always say, they still horse race, don't they?
Yeah.
So we're going to still keep going combustion racing.
But that's not to say that we wouldn't be open to an electric group coming in
Absolutely.
any way.
I just went to Formula E last week in Puebla.
Yeah, I wish we could start using old, like Group 1, Group 3 chassis, but putting electric motors in them.
Right.
And developing that. I think that'd be pretty neat.
Interesting, wouldn't it?
So it'd still be vintage future racing.
There you go.
Debbie Cloud in that 99 TA2 car from Stevens Miller. We saw Jeb Burton, the winner of the Xfinity Talladega race just a few weeks ago, racing that car for Debbie.
That's right.
At Road America. Just trying to get used to the track at Road America because he knew he was coming there in a couple weeks with Xfinity. And you'll see that a lot. You know, we've had Chase Elliott out at our events with SVRA running his dad's car just so he can learn the track if it's a track he's never been to.
Well, Bill drove here a couple of years ago, didn't he?
Yeah.
In our TA.
In TA2, with ECC Motorsports. But, man, John DeGaynor is just hooked up with that car. Good picture of the waving flag. I'm pretty sure that's Lauren's hand over there holding it, waving it. She didn't want me to say that, so that's exactly why I said it.
I know. That's
because you got to lean into the awkward.
Yeah, you have. And, well, then, okay, I'll keep going. I think you made her do that just because you put those flags up.
Yeah. Yeah, Levi and I, my 13-year-old son is sitting right next to me. We put up all the flags and banners you've seen this weekend. And we got to take them all down. There it is, Rusty Wallace. And, you know, I don't mean any offense to this. We kind of covered this yesterday, but I feel like that's the last era of NASCAR where the cars looked right.
I know what you mean by that,
Like that looks like the Pontiac that it's based on.
I know. Once you got into the Supra era with Toyota, it just, you know, it's a hard push, isn't it?
Yeah, they did that Cars of Tomorrow where they were all generic, and that lasted for about 18 months. And now they're doing this one.
The next gen looks good, though. I quite like it.
It does, yeah, it does. Looks a lot like a TA2 car.
Yep, that's true.
I know that I probably shouldn't be saying this, but it's late in the day, late in the weekend. When Trans Am would race here with NASCAR, with the Xfinity Series, the Xfinity drivers were always so jealous because the TA2 cars, the TA cars were faster. They were getting better times. They were going faster down the straightaways.
And had bigger wings.
And they looked cooler. Got to say that the Mustangs and Camaros that we race look a lot cooler than the big four-door sedans with Mustang fronts and Camaros fronts that they run in NASCAR. Our cars look right, I believe.
Yeah, and these guys aren't a haul in the mail. 128.1. That's not bad in a vintage car at all.
No, that's really good. I think Ron Fellows would be impressed with that.
Yeah, these guys aren't holding back.
And, you know, I was telling John DeGainer, because he hasn't met Ron Fellows. I asked him, has Ron ever come up and talked to you about this? And he said, you know, I've never met him, but Ron is around the track quite a bit.
Yeah.
And he's here. I bet you Ron has come up, seen the car, probably talked to John, and never said that was my car. That's the kind of man that Ron Fellows is. He probably asked him all kinds of questions, and John didn't know it was Ron Fellows.
Yeah, I can imagine.
One of the nicest guys you'll be around. I believe he's the president of the Canadian Tire sports car course up there in Canada. Casey Putsch, Genius Garage. So obviously those students are learning something. It's not easy to keep a car like that running every lap on a track like this, but they've done it, and he's running fast. Second place right now overall in that Group 10 GT1 class. Keeping a GT1 car together on a track like Mid-Ohio is very difficult, so I give it up for Genius Garage. And
Little wave.
Little wave. Take donations, so obviously the car is running well enough for him to give a wave.
Yeah.
He heard us talking about him. I hope he's not watching the app while he's driving.
So out of the keyhole and down the back straight, just 4 minutes to go in this, our Group 10 coverage, SVRA. A slightly depleted field from yesterday, but that's as expected. As Reed Kreider just puts in his fastest lap at 1:38.5. A little slower than the man leading at the moment. That's Jonathan Gaynor, who does, or did, a best time of 1:28.1.
I was talking to John DeGainer about it. So they have a big plant, a factory in, I believe, Lexington, Ohio, just around the corner from here.
Yep.
And they make a lot of little parts for the automotive industry, so like O2 sensors and things like that. But one of the things they're most proud of, and Jonathan, I know I'm going to make you mad again, and I'm sorry, but they make these cameras that act as mirrors in big semi-trucks to make them, you know, or tow trucks or anything where you have to hang out a mirror that is a lot safer, because you don't have these big wings hanging off of your semi-trucks. It's just a camera placed in the truckers can see all their blind spots.
Yep.
Kind of like what Simon Gregg runs in his Mercedes AMG when he races in Trans Am. And that's one of the things that his company has developed, among many, many other things. But he had a little cookout here, just in this pavilion over here.
It's always food with you.
It is, yeah. I'm motivated by that. But he had over 100 people out there just having a great time here at Mid-Ohio. So Stone Ridge and Lexington, keeping our cars running.
I'm happy for Amy Ruman, obviously from Akron, Ohio, getting a 4th place last time out in the TA race. She's had a tough season.
She has.
And really said she brought half the crowd with her this weekend, but happy for her that she could get a good result.
Yeah, the Amy Army is strong here in Northeast Ohio. And when she says she brought half the crowd, I believe it, but that means thousands of people, because there were a lot of people here this weekend. It was fun to see.
Our man Lake doing a hell of a job at turn 2. I think we'll see, yeah, we have got the last lap board out right now, so the leader on his last lap now, here he is, and he's built up a massive lead. Jonathan has.
You know, looking at that car, you can take the skin off of these GT1 cars fairly easily. And other than the Boris said Pancho Weaver TA cars, from that era of Trans Am, he wouldn't have to make a lot of adjustments to put an advanced composites body on there and come out and race in the TA series.
Really?
They're very similar. A little bit of the geometry, the framing, the chassis is almost identical.
Interesting.
It's just the geometry of what we've learned in suspension setups over the last 30 years. But that chassis overall, there's not a huge difference.
Yeah, it's amazed me in the history of motor racing how, as each year things advance and the boffins do their bit and advance cars, both production and race cars, and yet so many things stay the same.
Yeah.
Especially the tube frames.
Yeah, so based on his times right now we're not on the same tires, mind you, and I'm not sure what kind of weights he's running, but if he were in TA, I think he would qualify in somewhere between 5 and 8.
Pretty impressive. Well, coming down to the carousel then for the last time, and it's been a pretty easy walk in the park that is Mid-Ohio sports car course. Out of the carousel he comes, and to the checkered flag. Another win then for Jonathan Gaynor.
D. Gaynor.
D. Gaynor, excuse me. I'm thinking of Gloria Gaynor.
Yeah. You got disco on your head, huh?
I do. Well done to Jonathan De Gaynor in that Ford Mustang. And the rest of the field, Casey Pooch, here he comes. He's crossed the line now in second place in the all-yellow Chevrolet Corvette GT1. And a moment, you'll see Debbie Cloud in the 99 coming out of the carousel.
But watch this corner worker here. They're waving to the drivers, you know, telling them hi. And if you want the best seat in motorsports, go volunteer at your local SCCA.
Yep.
Become a corner worker. If you're a good, responsible corner worker, you're going to find yourself getting called to do some of the biggest races at these road courses, and you'll have the best seat in the house. So just go to the SCCA to see how you, too, can become a corner worker as we see Debbie Cloud cross the finish line.
In third place. Well done to her. So congratulations to Jonathan De Gaynor. A win in that Ford Mustang Cobra.
It's a pretty car.
Yep. Coming up, F4, so stay with us. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back from Mid-Ohio, so stay with us here on our live stream.